Shocking new discovery of the Euphrates River scientists can't explain. The Euphrates River is among the oldest and most beautiful natural bodies of water in the world, and explanations of its historical significance have been made. Follow along to know about it might be the most horrifying in order to comprehend human history in recent years. Interest has increased in what is frightening given the river's potential for discovery. Mystery surrounding the Middle East. Welcome to our channel, Discovery Scene. Watch the full video to find out the mystery. The Euphrates is historically the longest and one of Western Asia's most significant rivers. It is one of the two defining rivers of Mesopotamia, together with the Tigris. The Euphrates joins the Tigris near the Shatt al-Arab and empties into the Persian Gulf, after passing through Syria and Iraq. The longest river in Western Asia is the Euphrates. 10 kilometers upstream of the village of Kaban in southeast Turkey, it emerges from the confluence of the Karasu or Western Euphrates, 450 kilometers, and the Meratsu or Eastern Euphrates, 650 kilometers. According to Dayouti and Frinken, the Euphrates is 3,060 kilometers long from its source at the Merat River to where it meets the Tigris River. Of this distance, 1,230 kilometers are in Turkey, 710 kilometers are in Syria, and 1,060 kilometers are in Iraq. Isaev and Mikhailova provide the same numbers. The Shatt al-Arab, which joins the Euphrates and Tigris rivers with the Persian Gulf, is listed as 145 to 195 kilometers in a number of sources. Important cities have grown along riverbanks all throughout the world over the course of history. However, rivers can sometimes be harmful powers. They frequently flood, but they can suddenly change their course on rare occasions. An extensive archaeological burial site was recently discovered as a result of the Euphrates Dam Lake's declining water levels in eastern Syria. Recent years have been dangerously low in water levels in the Euphrates River. The multiple dams and irrigation projects have had significant environmental repercussions in addition to changing the river's discharge schedule. The overall amount of water that is accessible for human consumption has decreased as a result of increased evaporation brought on by the construction of reservoirs with huge surfaces in nations with high average temperatures. Each riparian nation's nature and society have been significantly impacted by the development of the dams and irrigation systems on the Euphrates. In both the Euphrates and the Tigris basins, 382 communities have been impacted by the dams built as part of the GAP, and about 200,000 people have been relocated. The Ataturk Dam construction alone, which displaced 55,300 people, caused the greatest number of evictions. According to a poll of persons who had been relocated, the majority of them were dissatisfied with their new circumstances and thought their compensation was insufficient. In an effort to establish an Arab belt along the borders with Turkey and Iraq, 4,000 families were relocated to other areas of northern Syria as part of a now abandoned scheme. So, are you excited to find out what the new discovery of the Euphrates River is? We are also, which is another reason why you should subscribe to learn more about other shocking and terrifying discoveries. According to one source, despite having less runoff in the summer and full months, the river discharges between 60 and 70% of its annual total during these 2 months. In accordance with a 1946 agreement, Iraq was given permission to erect dams on Turkish territory to manage the flow of the Euphrates River. Turkey was supposed to notify Iraq of any hydraulic alterations it made to the Tigris and Euphrates river systems. However, as of 2021, reports from the Middle East indicated a severe drought and rapidly falling water levels, and in recent months, sirens have started to ring over it. Geological scientists are baffled and very concerned about what might be causing this scary situation on the land because the old river is drying up and the water levels are gradually dropping. The adverse effects of the receding waters are obvious as the water levels in Syria's dam lengths have decreased as a result of the Turkish government's water restrictions, and as if that weren't horrifying enough, so have the region's electric supply and output. Lack of water for agriculture is a death sentence in a country where 60% of people struggle to put food on the table. In Iraq, an extra 7 million people run the risk of going without access to water, and governments worry about their borders while this is happening. The Turkish government's policy of cutting back on water use in the Euphrates River is not the weather. 9 million Syrians who reside close to the river, according to the autonomous government of North and East area, will be at risk of humanitarian catastrophes. Most importantly, getting access to water for drinking has been more difficult, implying that people may suffer serious health problems. The Mediterranean will see increasingly destructive heat waves. The United Nations has recently warned. According to the Global Climate Risk Index, even Lake Assad is at risk, making Syria one of the most at-risk countries. Due to this pattern, residents of the village of Tuania, where blackouts have increased from 9 to 19 hours daily, cry out that their olive trees are thirsty and the animals are hungry. However, the issue seems to affect both residents and workers, as some engineers worry that if this pattern continues, they may stop producing energy for everyone except for bakeries, grain mills, and hospitals. People have come to believe that the phenomenon is related to the biblical book of Revelation because there are only a few theories as to why the river is drying up. Surprisingly, less people are surprised by the development because they argue that it was inevitable because the Bible foretells its occurrence. People are more frightened by the notion that the Bible's promised end of the world is rapidly approaching in front of their very eyes. Many contend that pivotal passages in the apocalyptic book of Revelation demonstrate the significance of Iraq in end-time events. The only allusion to Armageddon in the Bible is found in chapter 16 of the book of Revelation, which also mentions the Euphrates River, which runs through contemporary Iraq. According to the text, the vast river Euphrates waters dried up when the sixth angel poured out his bowl on it to clear the way for the kings from the east. Religious undertones claim that the bowl's contents caused the river to cease flowing, and that prior bowl judgments have contaminated or damaged the majority of the water on Earth. This decision appears to be about tearing down a defense wall to make room for expanding eastern kingdoms, rather than to pollute or stopping using the water. The kingdoms of China and India were to the east of the Euphrates, which at the time of writing of Revelation divided east from west. The Bible referred to the river multiple times as the Great River, which served as Israel's eastern border for its inheritance. By rerouting the Euphrates River, which had previously traveled through Babylon, it protected Israel since the desert that lay between it and Canaan, the promised land of the west, was difficult for adversaries to cross. In another biblical allusion to the Euphrates, Cyrus of Persia's army was able to conquer the city centuries before they marched across its dried-up riverbed into Babylon to conquer the city. Recently, there have been some legends going around that there may be an attempt to rationalize this passage by claiming that some strange voices are coming from the bottom of the drying river. This serves to solidify further people's convictions that the current events herald Christ's second coming and his conquest of evil and establishment of the heavenly kingdom. Craig Hill, a professor of the New Testament at Wesley Theological Seminary in Washington, D.C., is one of many biblical scholars who allege that end-time interpreters misinterpret Scripture to justify their positions. He asserted that despite the fact that many claim to read the Bible literally, they actually employ portions from the books that were penned hundreds of years apart and under different circumstances. Among the most popular end-time books, a Judean priest who was banished to Babylon, who had dreams about rebuilding the temple and the return of the Jews to Israel, wrote the book of Ezekiel in the 6th century BC. Around 95 AD, a Christian exile who was urging the churches in Asia Minor to put up with the Roman authority 600 years earlier authored the book of Revelation. This gives us a lot to think about. Reading from the book of Enoch, a text that some contend is directly related to the Bible, is equally notable. We read of a Genesis-era tale in which Enoch, a prophet who lived before Noah, described a time when 200 angels known as the Watchers ruled the universe. Their duty was to keep an eye on creation, and one day they happened to look upon human women, perhaps through the influence of the fallen angel Lucifer or by other methods because giants were born from the union. That's all for today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if so, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Also, here are some other amazing videos that you'll probably enjoy. Simply click on the left or right video to watch it. Stay tuned for the next one. Bye.